Thank you for tuning into episode 257 of This Week in Real Estate, the TWAR podcast, broadcast live Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. The Ketchmark Call. And are we becoming a renter nation? This episode was brought to you by listeners and viewers just like you. I don't have any way for you to send me any money yet. I'm not even asking for it. All I'm asking is that you just take a second and share the show. Specifically today, share the show with some real estate agents, people that are fans of NAR and people who may not be such fans of NAR. They're going to want to tune in to the first part of this show today because we have a very special guest. And if you're joining us live, you can comment live and then I can display your comment and talk about you. Or we can talk about your comment. There's Tessie Martin. She says, am I first? I see lurkers just trying to beat Matt. There are a lot of lurkers today. I think people are excited about who we have on the show. And if you're joining us on Clubhouse, you can actually raise your hand and come on up. If you have a profile filled out, then the moderators, which I probably need to make some of you, there you go, Matt. Matt, you can control the moderators. The moderators will bring you up and you can actually add your voice and it will be added to the podcast and broadcast live everywhere the show is carried. So talking with a lisp all of a sudden. Thank you everybody for joining the show. I have a very special guest, and so I just want to jump right on it. Anthony LaMacchia is joining us today live. Thanks to listener Jack Adderidge who gave us the hookup. Jack said last week, you guys may have remembered, he mentioned Anthony on the show, or maybe it was in the post show. I can't remember, Jack, but it was either in the show or during the post show. He said that Ketchmark called this guy and he had some great opinions and thoughts on the NAR and what was happening. But first, before we dive into all that, Anthony, can you give the listeners of our show just a little bit of insight into who you are and why in the world Ketchmark called you?
Matt, thanks very much for having me. My name's Anthony LaMacchia. I'm broker owner of LaMacchia Realty. And I'm also the owner of Crush It in Real Estate, which is a North American-wide real estate training company for both leaders and for agents. And I am not shy with my videos. For those of you that know me and follow me on Instagram or on YouTube, I've been putting out videos on YouTube on my Crush It in Real Estate platform. And I've been very vocal about these cases, my frustration with how ridiculous they are, and how I will not sit around and tolerate these money-grabbing lawyers, just talking badly about our industry all over the place, talking bad about realtors, because it frankly makes me very angry. And I started voicing my opinion the week the trial started, and then it just kind of snowballed. And I've done so many videos that, it's only 7 or 8, but some of them have been upwards of 25 minutes. They got Ketchmark's attention. According to Ketchmark, his brother-in-law played them in front of some of the family at Thanksgiving. And his brother-in-law, and I'm saying this publicly, so I'm not making it up, because he could join any platform and he could call me out and say I'm full of shit, and I'm obviously not. Yeah. But according to him, his brother-in-law enjoys when there are people out there that will rib him back.
That's so good.
And, in Ketchmark's words, Anthony, not very many people are willing to bump up against me under the basketball hoop, but you certainly are, and my brother-in-law likes that. He appreciates that. He gets a good chuckle out of it.
That's fun. That's also that shows you just how confident he is in his case too. Number one, that, his family's going to bring it up and, they know he's going to stand his own. But number two, that he would actually reach out to you.
Yep.
So what was the primary purpose, do you think, of his call? Like what was the point?
I don't think I'll ever know for sure in my life, because, why would he tell us truly why he called me? If I had to guess, I would say I think that it was his effort to show me that he's not scared. He's not backing down from any of my rhetoric, to send a subtle message that he's watching. He claimed it was just to give me credit and say that he thinks my videos are great, but maybe 2% of his body wanted to do that. I think that most of him was probably sending a message or digging around a little bit. And he's a defensive character, very polite. Guy was a gentleman, but he's a defensive character. He specifically brought up things that I called out in my videos. And it's funny because in the first couple minutes, I was like, okay, he saw the video from 5 days ago. Then as 10 minutes went on in the conversation, I said, wait a second, this guy's watched every video. this guy's watching me on Instagram. He's paying attention.
Interesting.
And I think that it was his way of defending himself and just kind of sending a message like, hey, I'm here, I'm watching, I'm not scared of you or any of the shit you're talking, which he didn't say that, but I take it that way. And truth be told, I've done that. I've done that in litigations that we've been in. And I've been in rooms with lawyers when we've had litigations, and I've said, I'm going to call the person, or I'm going to walk right up to their lawyer and say, what the hell is going on here? You've got a problem, let's talk about it. And everybody in the room looks at me like, oh, you're actually going to call them, or you're actually going to walk up and talk to them? Yeah. When you have a problem with someone, how else? I mean, truthfully, that's the best way to deal with it. And I think that's what he was doing. I'll tell you this. He ain't scared, and he's not stupid. This is not a stupid person. This is a very capable trial attorney, somewhat of an evil genius, that we need to pay attention here to what we're doing. But I do think there's things that he misunderstands about our business. And I think that he's controlling the narrative in the media, and it's very frustrating to see. And I'm trying to fight back against some of that narrative, and I think I'm having a little bit of an impact. But I haven't yet got invited on to Good Morning America or CNBC Last Call to have a face-off with him. So far, he's winning the media war.
Now, he has said that he's willing to debate you, though, right?
Yes, he has, and I believe him. And he knows I'm willing to, but I'm not doing it on my Crush It platform. I don't want to. I just don't want to elevate him on my platform. You know, as much as it is a realtor platform, there's still a good sized segment of the people that watch that are not realtors, people in the insurance business. I got a cousin who's in the medical sales business, and I just don't want the public to be listening to it. And I don't want to highlight him any more than I already have with my videos. But if you or Rob Hahn sent me a tweet saying, hey, will you debate Ketchmark on my platform? Inman, if Inman was to change their mind, RAS Media, Housing Wire, I don't care. I'll go toe-to-toe with this guy and argue about this stuff all day long because I think he's wrong. I do. I think he's absolutely – the idea, the notion that we are colluding is completely preposterous. It's insane.
There's some that I want to get into about exactly how we defended ourselves or didn't defend ourselves. But I want to ask you real briefly about the whole Inman thing, because you were supposed to talk after him, and then word comes out that he saw what Brad said he was going to ask, and then he backed out, and then he says something different. I don't really know his full story. What's the deal? Why didn't that work out? I think the communication issue with how Inman put it out there, like featured speaker, probably not the best verbiage, right?
One of the you're right about that. And one of the pieces of feedback that I gave to Inman within 2 days of them announcing Ketchmark is I said, guys, you have him showing as a speaker. Now, in defense of Inman, that's a custom image that they use with custom text. And I'm not custom. That's a
template,
an image that they use with text, and they just put his name in. I mean, hey, look, you think we don't make mistakes at the LaMacchia companies? It happens. And when I pointed that out to the person who's in charge of all their events, Katie Gowdy, who's fantastic, she goes, Jesus, you're right. Okay, we got to clarify that. Then I texted Brad and I said, hey, Brad, and I voiced a couple of thoughts. And Brad responds, and he was in Paris. I give the guy credit. He's on vacation. He responds and he says, how about you be the rebuttal? I said, have you been seeing my videos? And he said, yeah, I've seen some. Why don't you be the rebuttal? I said, okay, great. He replies, go ahead and announce it. We'll announce it next week. I announce it, not in a formal fashion. We didn't put it out in Crush It or LaMacchia Realty, but on my own personal Instagram. I put out the announcement, and next thing I know, 4 days later, I'm assuming Inman's going to announce it. The whole thing falls apart. Now, I don't know what was said between Ketchmark and Brad. I wasn't on the phone. My personal Anthony LaMacchia opinion, I think Ketchmark got rubbed the wrong way by Brad posting those questions on LinkedIn. I suspect Ketchmark didn't say this to me, but I can just tell by the kind of person he is. He's a feisty person, and heck, I'm known to be like that at times too. I don't think he liked how Brad put like WTF with one of the questions.
Yeah.
I think it rubbed him the wrong way. So he reached out to Brad and he says, hey, and he sent an email and says, I already know I'm walking into a situation of people that don't like me. And what are you doing here? Then him and Brad end up on the phone, and, both sides says they didn't back down. If I had to guess, I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I hate to defend Ketchmark because I hate to see what he's doing to our business. I despise to see what he's going to do to home buyers if he's successful. I despise it. But what the hell did he ever agree to coming into that room for anyway? I mean, that's like going in the crocodile den.
Right.
You know, I mean, and I got to say, that shows the guy's got guts, right? But I think he kind of said to himself, what the hell am I doing here? He said that to Brad, and I think Brad was probably, and again, I'm surmising here, I think Brad was probably like, well, we're getting nothing but pushback anyway. Benefit of hindsight. I wish to hell Inman announced it that way from the beginning. If from the beginning they said Michael Ketchmark's coming on stage, Anthony LaMacchia is coming up after, it would have been received very well. They would have sold 1,000 extra tickets, because I can't tell you how many people reached out to me in the 4 days that they thought I was going to be the rebuttal and said, I wasn't going to Inman, but I'm going now.
Yeah.
And then when the plug got pulled, and now I'm sitting here like, well, that fell apart, you know, and I kind of feel like I got caught in the middle, which annoys me a little bit, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Everyone wants to go see Rocky beat the Russian, you know, I mean, that's the, you know, that you have the big heel, and they're going to make their presence known, but that's kind of how it should have been presented. But it was just kind of a failure from the get. All right, so let's go back to the NAR case itself. Sitzer Burnett, the one that's been decided so far. In my opinion, I've shared this on the show before, I felt like the defense was a complete disaster. I mean, the fact that in my head, I'm looking at the plaintiffs presenting all this videotape about real estate agents training how to keep our commissions. And the defense should have used that exact same videotape and said, yeah, that's why it's not negotiable. That's why it's negotiable. If we have to spend all this money on training as to how to keep our money, then that shows you that it's not a simple collusion across the board. We have to train our agents in order to negotiate their fee.
So you're 100% right about that part, about, you know, that being the rebuttal. And in one of my videos, I said that. I said the whole reason, well, I said a number of things. I said, find me a goddamn industry that doesn't have some training to be able to charge more, justify your value more, be able to make more money. Every industry in the world has that. So them demonizing Alan Dalton, who, by the way, is fantastic, or demonizing others is ridiculous. And I said that in the video. I said, if we weren't training, that would show that there is collusion. We're training because it's extremely competitive. Okay. So on that part, I agree with you. I don't agree that the defense was horrible. Now, full disclosure, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a defense attorney. I have no law background, but if you watch my videos, you can tell by watching that I own a few companies. I have 650 people. I've been involved in litigations. I have more of an understanding of legalities than the average person walking down the street. Okay. Do I think the defense could have been better? Yes. Do I think we should be substantially more outspoken and hitting him with a hammer that he's hitting us with in the media? Absolutely. But they didn't hire bad lawyers. Okay. They hired lawyers that were very good on the Sherman Act. Katie Johnson at NAR is a very capable attorney. She understands our business very well. They followed the legal course. Now, this is where I got to be careful what I say. In my opinion, these cases involve more than black and white legalities.
Correct.
Okay?
There's a jury involved.
In that, you got a jury in the room. Juries get it wrong sometimes. So you got an attorney, Michael Ketchmark, who's obviously good at theatrics and he's good at putting on a show. If you have someone that good, you've got to have someone else on the other side. And I'm told from people in the courtroom that it was pretty damn obvious we were losing days before the verdict. And I'm told that Michael had a freaking bench full of experts handing him notes, feeding him things. And I'm told that our defense attorneys, Keller Williams, Berkshire, and NAR, they were a little disjointed. And the cases getting consolidated and us having to argue together was a little disjointed. I think it's ridiculous. I think that, I think the one thing we should collude with, you ready for this? Legally, if we're going to fight these people, they're a mutual enemy. We should be talking. We should be helping one another. And we should be pounding them with discovery and pounding the plaintiffs with discovery and making those plaintiffs say to themselves, what the hell did I ever get involved in this case for? And we didn't do that. We played perfectly by the rule book. We were polite and we were nice. They're not being polite and nice on the plaintiff's side. Okay. Those attorneys are out for blood. And until we match them, we're going to lose.
Yeah, we have 6 billion reasons to not be nice and to protect ourselves in this case because we did a good job for those clients and we need to show that. So, and I also think, whenever you're talking about the attorney, that was actually one question we had because I don't know the attorneys personally. We didn't look up their history. So we were wondering how good they were because it just didn't seem like we were making a difference. But my other big problem with how everything was presented is when Gary Keller's main defense is, well, they're 1099 employees. They're 1099 employees. They're 1099 employees. Like, well, I mean, that's just kind of throwing the 1099 employees under the bus. That's not actually protecting the reverence of a buyer agent and the agency relationship and the fiduciary duty. And then the flip side of that, without this in place, the cooperating brokerages paying a compensation, then you have people like, VA, who's a veteran that's trying to buy a house. He can't pay a buyer fee. So now you're in a situation where you have a Army vet going up against a negotiator that's been in the business a long time that has the best interest of their seller in mind, not the VA. So I mean, this is it's a disaster for the start for buyers that are barely able to afford a home. And I don't know how much of that was properly conveyed to the jury because everything that I looked through, it just didn't seem like that story had a vein in the defense.
Yeah, I think that Gary was in a unique position where he's a franchisor, so there's other owners, and I think some of that got lost in translation. I don't really know specifically what happened with that. I didn't hear that part, but you are right that I think a lot of those things didn't get pointed out. And one of the things on the phone with Ketchmark, one of the things he said to me is, he goes, "Okay, Anthony, tell me if you think I'm missing something. Tell me the biggest thing I'm missing." And that was about a minute after he said, "I'm not. I know your business. I've been studying it for 4 years." And I said, "You're going to hurt buyers. You're going to," and he said, explain to me how we're going to hurt buyers. Because see what Mike is doing. Well, we know what he's doing. He's trying to make $1 billion here, right?
Right.
That's number one. But number
30%.
two, of course. But hey, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay
30%
for the
is
lawyers
totally cool. Yeah.
to all charge 33%. That's totally okay. But we do it, we're colluding. It's a bunch of bullshit. But let me get back to what I was saying. I think part of what they're looking at is, oh, it's a service. If people want it, they can pay for it. They don't realize Fannie Freddie regulations don't allow you to hire a buyer's agent, take the cost of their fee, and plop it on top. And I said that to Michael on the phone, and he goes, "Well, regulations can be changed." I said, "Michael, not easily." And I didn't even mention VA to him, but you're right. And, that's another big problem. So in the end, it's going to hurt the buyers. And, the truth is, and I know this is an age-old argument, but who pays the commission? Without a buyer, there is no freaking commission to go
Right.
around to anybody, right? So they say, "Oh, well, the buyer's not paying it, the seller's paying it." Okay, well, if there's no buyer and no buyer money,
Yeah.
there's no money.
Let's say it's taken out completely. I envision a future in which a seller receives 4 offers and the listing agent says, "We have 4 offers. 2 of them are asking you to pay their agent fee. 2 of them are not. Here's the 2 of them that are not. Here's the 2 of them that are asking you to pay your agent fee." The seller does the calculation on the net and he picks which one he's going to pick. Now, the ones who are asking to pay the agent fee, those are going to be higher offers. So it totally goes in contradiction with what they're saying. The argument is that the seller was gouged, and because they were paying a buyer agent fee, that they got less for their home. That's not the case at all. If they weren't paying a buyer agent fee, then you're going to have some people that put in the offer that also try to save the buyer agent fee. Both parties can't save the same dollar.
Well, that's a very good argument. And one of the things that I pointed out every time I hear them saying agents steer buyers, I roll my eyes because you can't hide a property from a buyer.
Right.
Those days are 30 years over with. So when a buyer wants to see house A and B and C, there's no stopping them from doing that. Okay, that's number one. Now, if house B is not paying the cooperating brokerage compensation to the buyer's agent, house B causes the buyer agent to have to say to the buyer, "Hey, I'm happy to show you A, B, and C, but just as a heads up, on house B, you would actually have to come out of pocket to pay me because they're not offering any cooperating brokerage compensation." What is 9 out of 10 buyers going to say when they hear that? "I don't want to see house B."
Right.
Right? So this notion that agents are steering it is ridiculous. Buyers drive the process.
Right.
Buyers drive the process, but they don't care. They've come up with very good talking points They say it repeatedly in the media. They said it repeatedly in the courtroom. And that's how they fooled the jury. The
Yep.
O.J. Simpson jury got fooled too. The Casey Anthony jury got fooled too. It doesn't mean it's right.
Right. Very good. Well, I want to end it there. I know you got to go. I appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time today. And do you know if there's going to be a follow-up? Do you have any discussions set in the future with Michael?
I don't, but I have a feeling that enough people bringing it up, we will probably end up debating in some way, shape, or form, whether it's he goes first, I go second, or some back and forth.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, but the offer stands. Michael, if you're watching, I can't wait. Tell me the place, tell me the time, and unless it's Christmas morning, that's the only time I won't do it. I will be there. Anyone wants to look at the videos I'm doing, they should log on to recases.com. That's recases.com. Ketchmark, log on, check it out.
All awesome, right? Man. We'll put that in the description for you. Thanks again for joining the show today.
Thank you very much for having me. Take care.
All right, man. You too. Woo, man, that was fun. So I want to get you guys, I want to get some of your feedback. I know Clubhouse, you probably had a couple of questions. I saw some folks on mute there. What do you think is the debate going to happen? Do you think Ketchmark is actually going to take him up on that? Or was it just some, blowing smoke? Jack, you're in Clubhouse. Thanks, by the way, for the connection.
Yeah, you bet. And so Anthony's been pretty smart about it. I saw a comment in YouTube. Whatever videos he's been putting out, he runs by his trusted advisor, and then he runs it through his counsel, and he's trying to do is to not give up anything for this guy either. So, but I would bet, Anthony's a pretty driven guy, and I would bet that at some point these two butt heads. But I think the biggest part of the conversation that that really resonated is we need better counsel. Let's move some money from marketing into legal and properly present this case. And I mean, turn it around on how the attorneys are compensated. It's crazy. So no, but it was great to have Anthony on. Thank you for that, Ray.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for connecting us. I feel like there should be, no one, if I asked all of you on the panel or anyone that's currently watching, anyone that's listening on the podcast, hey, do you want a puppy? Most of you are going to say, oh yeah, I'd love a puppy, but no, I'm not going to get a puppy because of obligation and everything. However, if I show you an ad and it's got Sarah McLachlan in the background singing, in the arms of an angel, suddenly you're like, oh man, we should run by the Humane Society. Look at those poor puppies. We haven't done that. The only thing we've done is said, this is who we are. And we show a real estate agent showing it. So I've got a lot of gripes with NAR and how they've been operating the marketing budget, but maybe we should put some of the marketing and legal team together to show people how we help people who are not allowed to pay a buyer agent fee. Maybe we put some marketing behind what commission is and why it is currently how it is and how it used to be before real estate agents could do that, because you had a lot of people that controlled listings, controlled inventory, and then you had a lot of problems with it. So yeah, I agree with you, Jack. We need to revamp the marketing. Matt, do you have any comments on it?
We need a town hall with our trade organization, and they need to listen to us. It feels like they're all caught up in their own deal, and they've never listened to us. But now's the best time to sort of move the needle on that.
Yeah, I agree. I think I could do more with $1 million than their $57 million marketing team did. Thanks for joining, Mike. Any comments on this, Mike? I know you just joined, but I don't know if you've been listening previously and you're like, I'm going to jump up there.
I didn't get a notification and I lost track of time.
Everybody say, because Mike missed a really good interview. All right, let's see. Let me get to some of these comments on YouTube as well. Wrong buttons all around. All right. Adam Johnson said the brokerages were trying to CYA with the 1099 crap. Yeah. They were trying to protect themselves and not really protect the industry or the agency relationship. That's for sure. Adam says the biggest issue is the listing commission is negotiable via the listing agent between the seller and the listing brokerage. The seller and buyer have no direct negotiation on fees. That's true. So if the seller felt that they were being gouged, then couldn't they negotiate that fee? That's the problem. I mean, they could. I've seen sellers put properties on the market with like a 1%, or I've seen sellers put a property on the market with a 5% offered to the buyer agent. So it's definitely negotiable because I've seen it all kinds of ways. But I've also had agents, buyer agents, negotiate with me, the listing agent, about the commission, asking me to give up a larger portion or asking me for some more money. And so I asked the seller, this is what the buyer agent said, that they have a buyer and would show the property if you'll pay him this much. So what the buyer agent said. Buyer offered compensation between brokerages and not the buyer. Yeah. The compensation agreement. Dusty said, nope, he was blowing smoke. Anything he says, he knows will come up in court. Lawyer backed out because he's fishing for more angles and doesn't want to tip his hand. Yeah, it could be it. I should clarify. The guy said he wanted more commission because that was the buyer agent fee. The buyer wanted it covered. I should specify that. I think it's likely that he finds himself a defendant before there's a debate. It could be. I think he said on one of his videos on YouTube that if he's sued because of it, then so be it. So very interesting. Okay.
Talking about Ricky Caruth, or?
Yeah. So Ricky, no, it wasn't Ricky. I think Ketchmark also called Ricky, but this was
A different agent.
Anthony LaMacchia. LAMACCHIA. Anthony LaMacchia.
Gotcha.
Okay, so while we're on this topic, there were some people suggesting to Caruth that he doesn't take on the debate with him and Ketchmark because of the legal ramifications. So interesting. Has that debate happened, by the way? I think there's a debate between the two of them. Let's see. I'm coming back up to the comments here, making sure I don't miss one. International show. Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Howard and Olivier, for joining. 2 viewers that make it completely international. We are still pretty high rated, by the way, in is it Taiwan or Tibet? I can't remember. We're still pretty, I don't know why. Matt Lamar said on LinkedIn, thanks for also joining the LinkedIn views. In other news, Matt Leonetti joins Real. His bio does say that. I haven't seen the official announcement, but yeah, it's exciting news. All right. I think I'm caught up now with all the comments. Okay. Speaking of lawsuit, we have another one to talk about today. There is a new commission lawsuit that targets the Bay Area MLS. So let's dive into that one. This one is on Broke Agent Media. They break it down. Grace, that's the name of this case. The plaintiff, Christina Grace, sold a home in April 2020, paid a total $50,000 in commissions. That includes a 3.5% fee to the listing agent, 2.5% to the buyer agent. The complaint, known as Grace, filed similar to those of major commissions lawsuits. Basically inflated commissions on the sale of their homes due to fusion. We are obligated to and did adopt, implement, and enforce anti-competitive restraints, says BAREIS MLS. That's the named defendant. Other defendants include NAR, Anywhere, Remax, Keller Williams, Compass, EXP, the Bay Area Real Estate Information Services, that's BAREIS, that's their MLS. Marion Association of Realtors, North Association of Realtors, Solano County Association of Realtors, and Solano Association of Realtors. Major antitrust case filed by U.S. home sellers regarding buyer agent compensation since the Sitzer-Burnett verdict was issued October 31st. Also wanted to point out on the website, this BAM enforce that highlights the legal battles. If you scroll down, you actually see a state-by-state breakdown on how many lawsuits and the number of lawsuits filed. thought that was interesting. Green means the most. So Illinois currently has the most lawsuits filed. And it also has a quick rundown of all those lawsuits right here. So there you go. All right. December is traditionally kind of a slow month for real estate news, and today would be no exception. We do have some refinance demand jumping 19% after the rates hit their lowest level since July. The rates are coming down. Who's going to be right for the prediction show? The average contract interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage with conforming loan balance decreased to 7.07% from 7.17%. Hey, bad. Mortgage rates dropped last week as incoming data point to slowing economy and support a pivot by the Federal Reserve to begin cutting rates next year, said Mike Frantantoni, the Mortgage Bankers Association Senior Vice President and Chief Economist. As a result, applications to refinance increased 19%. Applications for mortgage to purchase a home rose 4% for the week, but were still 18% lower than the same week a year ago. You remember last year we were saying that a lot too, that there was up slightly, but lower than the same week a year ago. So that is some good news. We're seeing rates kind of coming down a little bit. I'm also still hearing people that are saying that the Fed's going to cut rates 6 times next year. I'm skeptical of that. I don't see that. I think he's going to let it ride for a bit. I say that, but it is an election year. So if he did cut rates kind of in favor of the current admin, I could see that happening. So I better not, I just don't see the numbers in the economy to support it. I still see quite a bit of inflation, prices still rising. Okay, I also want to talk about 2023. This report from Redfin says that 2023 has been the least affordable year for home buying on record, but 2024 is looking up. Here's the chart. I like Redfin charts. Oh, one news story that we didn't talk about is that they have I'm trying to find the best layout for this. They have like a new report that they're running. It's like their own Redfin index. So you'll hear that in the coming months of news stories. So income needed to afford a typical home hit its new high in 2023. Wow. Share of earnings in person on a median income would need to spend on monthly housing costs is currently 41.4%. All of you Dave Ramsey fans out there know that he's recommending that you stay around the 25%, the quarter of your income range. The last time that was possible was back in 2013. A rule of thumb in finance is that it should be no more than 30% of your income on housing, but it's become less realistic due to elevated mortgage rates and home prices. Dun, dun, dun. A perfect storm of inflation, prices, soaring mortgage rates, and low housing supply caused 2023 to go down as the least affordable year of housing in recent history, said Redfin senior economist Elijah De La Campa. The good news is that affordability is already improving heading into the new year. Mortgage rates are coming down and more people are seeing homes for sale. And there's plenty of sideline buyers ready to take the bite of flesh of inventory. We expect to see conditions continue to improve in 2024. Okay, I want to take a poll. Listeners, if you're watching this on the replay or if you are here live, are you seeing more inventory in your market? Are you seeing more inventory in your market? Drop it in the comments below. I should have said probably at the beginning of the show, but don't forget to do the subscribey thing. Subscribe to the show, hit the like button, share the show with somebody. I did say that part, but don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that you guys are alerted of whenever we do have a live, because sometimes it's a special guest, Mike, and you don't want to miss it. So be sure you're hitting the bell. Mike said, when was the prediction show? When is that prediction show? I want to set my alarm so I don't miss my award presentation for the right prediction for 2023. It's going to be next week. Is that the 20th, December 20th? Yeah, 5 days before Christmas. I'll still be working for all of you. So That was barely possible in Arizona, even in 2013. What, the 23% or 25% of your income, or the 30% of your income, Dusty? Month over month, yes, on inventory increase. Year over year, no, it's down. Okay. And you're in Scottsdale, right, Dusty? Scottsdale, Arizona. So they are seeing a month over month increase in inventory, but year over year, it's still down. Bushy Top is a special guest, they say. Man, I'm really hoping all that there was no technical difficulties during the first part of the show. Knock on wood. I'll find out. I recorded, I think I've shared this with you guys, but I recorded a whole show for the week that was off. Spent an hour and 20 minutes of recording, showed all the back end, like how I find the articles, what I search for, why I choose some articles and don't choose other articles. I even went into how I create the thumbnail and, oops, hang on, autoplay. I even went into how I create the thumbnail. I recorded that whole thing and how I use AI to do it. And then I published it and the audio was gone. There's no audio. We can't find the audio, can't get the audio. So I am going to try to do that again towards the end of the year and have that be like that middle show. So I guess it'll be December 27th. We won't have a show, but we will have that go out. And hopefully it will work this time. So if you're
Ray, I think you should dub over the video.
I thought
it'll be like a,
we still have the
lost
video.
in translation.
We still have
that
the
would
video.
Be awesome.
I thought about it, and it's so long. If it was like 30 minutes, I probably would dub it. But because it's an hour and 20 minutes, that means I have to rewatch it and sit there and talk over it. I did think about that though, Jack. I was like,
it would be known that it was dubbed over for sure. You wouldn't. You wouldn't need to Britney Spears lip sync it.
No, I would have to be like, okay, now I'm talking to the camera about something that I don't remember. Like that. Oh, this is what I was talking about. This is what I'm doing now.
Like watching Tora.
That's right. Okay, speaking of controversial, I want to get to this guy. Y'all know Grant Cardone. He did a TikTok recently. And in his TikTok, I got to reshare this so that I can share the audio with you guys. In his TikTok, he said, America will become a renter nation. And this happened to me a couple of different times and said, Ray, what do you think? So I want to play this for you guys, and then we'll talk about it.
America will become a renter nation. You will rent and use everything. You will rent your cars. You will rent where you live. You might even rent your clothes in the future. A mortgage is just a fancy way to say you own some shit that you don't own. The savior of America will not be lower prices. It will be longer mortgages. In your lifetime, you will see mortgages go from 30 to 40, 50, and maybe even 60 years. You could, if you live long enough, see a 100-year mortgage in America in order to give you the illusion that you own something when you don't.
Okay, there you go. So mortgages, he is predicting will go to 100 years. But he also says that America will be a renter. And I was asked to give my opinion on it. Right now, homeownership in America is like 63%. Around the, I don't know if it was the Great Depression area or when we came back from World War, homeownership at that time was in the 40%. Do I think higher prices and higher rates will lead to fewer homeowners? Yes. Do I think that we will become a renter nation in which you're renting everything and most people are renting everything? No. Could it teeter on like 55% renting and 45% ownership again? Sure. But I think when that happens, you're going to see more people buying with more cash because rates are so high, or they're buying only what they can afford. You'll have a boom in the building sector because they're able to build more homes, especially in the lower price point, and actually make money at it. So I think if we are at a point where fewer people started to own homes because of the rates and inventory, I think you would get more encouragement and have healthier home buyers in the long run. And then I think there will be more incentive for builders to build in the lower price points because basically prices will go up and then just kind of stagnate as fewer and fewer people buying homes. But the money that a builder could make on the lower half should go up as inflation also slows. So I know that's kind of a long-winded explanation, but I don't think that's what Grant is actually saying. So if you really parse his words, he's not saying that everyone in America will rent. What he's saying is that a mortgage, as he says, is rent. And if you think that owning your home outright is true ownership, but having a mortgage on your property means you're renting it basically from the bank, then yeah, America will be a renter nation. And then your clothes, you will rent if you buy them on credit. So if you look at what he's saying, it makes sense. And this is how guys like him get away with like these incendiary comments and then back it up. And how you have this like army of people that are like, no, he's right. The reason why everyone's saying no, he's right is because in his definition of rent, he is correct. Most people are going to mortgage or have things on credit, it seems. And, you know, we already see 50-year mortgages. That's already a thing. So could we see 100-year mortgages in our lifetime? I hope not. Like that, I don't think that doesn't seem wise unless you could tie your offspring to the mortgage. Now in business, could you see 100-year mortgages? Yeah. But you'd also have the confidence in that business that it would actually be around in 100 years. What you see mostly is 50-year mortgages in those instances. 50-year lease agreements, I've also seen those. Dusty Martin says, I own my home outright, but I have property tax. I feel like I'm just renting land. That is true. There's when real estate, royal estate, and it actually came from people having a claim to land at the privilege of the king. And if you didn't pay the king the tax, then he would come and take away the land. Isn't that property tax? That seems like the same thing. But I could be wrong in the history, but I feel like that's what it came from. Yeah, 50-year mortgages. Dusty says, oh wait, Mike says longer mortgages definitely are coming. Look into auto loans. 96-month terms are out there now. Wow. 96 months. I always have to think like, okay, 96 divided by 12. That is 8 years. That's a long time. And why don't they say, I guess 96 months sounds shorter than 8 years. It's kind of like people that are like, how old is your kid? 48 months. Wouldn't that just be 4 years? I mean, there's got to be a point where they stop counting months and we just say years. I don't know what that point is though. Okay. So Grant says America is becoming a renter nation. His definition of rent also includes mortgaging and purchasing on credit because you don't own it outright, in which case I agree with him. If he's saying that most of America will rent everything, it could teeter over 55%. It could get to 60% renters, but we'd have to lose 25% of those that currently own. That's going to be difficult to do. And I don't think it would get any lower than the 40% because in some of America's worst times, there was still 40% ownership. So that's my take for those that asked. And if you didn't ask, that's my take. The tide turns for renters. Oh, this is apropos. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. The tide turns for renters as asking rents posted biggest decline in over 3 years. This report is also from Redfin. Median U.S. asking rent post biggest decline. It in November of down negative 2.1%. It matches November-ish. It matches like the same time last year. No, in 2021. It matches the same time same price in 2021. It matches about the same time and price of 2022. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of ebb and flow up here. It had a huge upswing from November of 2020 to May of 2022. It really skyrocketed up. And now it seems to be going up and down at the upper range. My question on this is what happened in the years before? The chart only goes back to November of 2018. What happened the 5 years prior? Did we see like a gentle up and down seasonally in the 5 years prior, and now we've had a huge uptick because of inflation, and now we're going to see a up and down for years to come? Or has it steadily increased over the last 20 years? I don't know that. That's not on the chart, Ray. Okay. Apartment construction is still going strong, leading to the rise in vacancies, which is why rents are going down. It's not seasonal, according to them. The units started is the blue line. Units completed is the orange line. We're seeing a huge uptick. There was a huge push in multifamily. I know we've talked about it on the show before, so I won't exhaust it, but it seemed like everyone on Clubhouse was building an apartment complex or investing in one for a while. I don't know what that was. I get so many inquiries. Do you want to invest in this complex deal? Like, I don't know you. Rental vacancy rate climbs to 6.6% in the third quarter, which leads to more empty inventory and lower rents. Adam Johnson. The bottom 25% of buyers left the market forever last year. Really? So they're just going to be forever renters? The problem is we're not building anything in that range except for multifamily. There's nothing being built in my market in the bottom 1/3 of the price range. And I am a market that should be. We're not rich here. Well,
Ray, who left the market forever?
The bottom 25%, Adam Johnson said the bottom 25% of buyers left the market forever last year.
Wow.
Dusty Martin said so did the bottom 25% of inventory. Yeah.
I think the inventory is probably more sprinkled around, but I mean, yeah.
One of the problems people always claim is one of the big issues why the bottom 1/3 of the market is struggling is that you have hedge funds and big investment deals that are buying up properties and sitting on them and then renting them out. So I want to have a short discussion with our remaining time about this new proposed legislation that bans hedge funds from owning single family properties. This report is from Brokerage Media. They say Democrats on both branches, U.S. and Congress, introduced a bill Tuesday, December 5th, to ban hedge funds from owning single-family homes. The bill would require them to sell any single-family homes they currently own over a 10-year period and would prevent them from buying any others in the future. The suggested 10-year phase-out would impose a stiff tax penalty on hedge funds. The proceeds would go towards down payment assistance for individuals wanting to buy homes from corporate owners. It's very specific. Buy homes from corporate owners, but not necessarily buy homes from hedge funds. So you could have a lot of people, this is me and my capitalist mind. Okay, I'm going to throw all my rental properties, make sure they're all in a corporation so that people who receive the down payment assistance can buy the homes I own for more. Is it specifically those same hedge fund properties that they're telling them to liquidate? I don't know. In the case of the applicable taxpayer, there are hereby imposed a tax on the acquisitions of newly acquired single-family residence equal to 50% of the fair market value. It's called the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act. What is the rebuttal to this? American Neighborhoods Protection Act was a related bill, which would require corporate owners of more than 70 single-family homes to pay an annual fee for each property, which would go towards down payment assistance. They have the bill and the breakdown on Broke Agent Media. We know the I mean, I guess they're trying to add inventory to the market, right? And trying to discourage big hedge funds from purchasing a commodity and running up the price. Proponents of the bill are transparent in their desire to address the concentration of wealth. Critics of the bill, such as the National Rental Home Council, argued that the real problem is not Wall Street, but the nationwide lack of new housing. According to various estimates, we need anywhere from 2 million to 6.5 million homes to fill the gap. Policies really need to be shaped and crafted so that they support the production, investment, and development of new housing. I think bills that work against that ultimately are just going to perpetuate the challenges that we're already facing. Okay. Adam said, I've sold so many homes this year to people who sold 2 to 3 years ago, trying to play the market, waiting for it to fail. Now they're going to get back in the market and freeing up some rentals. Interesting. Median household income can't support the median home price unless interest rates go below 4%. Again, to the lowest, 25% of buyers are now renters forever. They can't qualify unless mortgages. Yeah, they can't qualify for the home price in their area. I've seen that. But wouldn't you think that they would move areas? I mean, if they really just wanted to own a home and do their own thing, I think that could cause some growth in minor markets, like the 3rd and 4th tier markets around the country. Dusty says she agrees we need more homes. Okay, so what's y'all's take on this? Is this a good idea to prevent hedge funds from purchasing properties and to basically force the sale of those properties on the market? Or is it a bad idea to do this, to basically take out a huge buyer of real estate?
Hey, Ray. So when this first came out, I don't know if you guys follow Lance Lambert on Twitter. He's really good with real estate. Yeah. Anyway, so he was talking about the total number of homes owned is like 547,000. And they would have 10 years to liquidate. So that's 54,000 homes a year. And is that going to make, in some markets, I think it would have a big impact. But like here in Southern California, anecdotally speaking, I don't think, those types of institutional homeowners, I don't think it's a big number. So here, I don't think it would have much impact at all. But I'm sure in certain parts of the country where, it's a larger percentage of the homes available, it would have a big impact. But, and I don't think it's going to pass. I mean, I'm imagining that hedge funds do quite a bit of lobbying. And they also have, companies have civil rights. I don't know if this is a rights issue. Like, how do you discriminate from them being able to own homes? So anyway, that's my take.
Yeah, I had a question about that. I know I liked Lance Lambert's breakdown about it. I don't think the impact the impact around the nation is not going to be felt. The impact in specific markets like Atlanta, in which hedge funds and corporate buyers are buying a ton, I think that's where you're going to see most of the impact. The Atlanta Georgia Bulldogs that are not playing for the national title. That Atlanta is what I'm speaking about. He's not here to defend himself. Neither is Julie Moon. However, let's think it through fully. The hedge funds have houses that are full of renters. So what's going to happen when you have especially specific areas and you dump a bunch of renters back onto the market because the hedge funds are forced to sell these properties? And now there's less rental inventory. Isn't that going to hurt the renter who can't afford a home anyway? So I think by using this strategy to try to get some inventory on the market, it's short-sighted because you still wind up hurting someone. The best thing to do, I think I agree with what was his position? Let me find it again. I think he had the best quote. David Howard, he's chief executive of the National Rental Home Council. I think he had the best take. Policies need to be shaped and crafted to support production, investment, and development of new housing. Bills that work against that are going to perpetuate the challenges we're already facing. I don't see hurting one buyer to salvage another buyer being the answer in the long run. I just and also for a seller that's excited in that neighborhood and development because they have a home and they're not going to sell to the hedge fund. They're going to sell to the individual. They're going to make a killing because there's no other properties on the market. But then you have over a period of time, more and more homes coming on the market in those neighborhoods. You're going to destroy the value of that one that somebody may be banking on. So I think the best idea is to do something to encourage builders to build more, and do something to encourage people to maybe sell the single families if they get a big tax break from the sale. If the hedge funds don't have to pay capital gains on the sale of those properties, if you can. Instead of making them 1031 to like properties, they could 1031 it into a company, or allow them to do something different with the money to avoid the tax. Then you encourage them to offload it when the prices, they're looking at the market maybe when the prices are higher. They're going to offload it, put those properties back on the market. Meanwhile, encouraging home builders to build and giving them incentives that they need to purchase to develop the property, and cutting some of the regulation to prevent the building of affordable homes using alternative materials. I think those are things that go a lot further solve the inventory issue than this hedge fund thing. I know a lot of people are rallying behind the hedge fund thing because it's a big evil hedge fund. But some of you probably have your money in a hedge fund. You don't even know it. Because if you bought a mutual fund or something like that, and you chose an emphasis in real estate, then you may be part owner of some of those hedge funds that you're now trying to dog. So I think there's a lot of Americans that own pieces of those hedge funds that don't fully understand what they own or what the ramification of it is. Oh, you said I have an echo, Dusty? Why do I have an echo? Try to talk softer. Adam Johnson said the proper word. Oh, I got feedback. Wonder why I have feedback all of a sudden. You're not saying feedback as in someone gave me. I'm looking at. I have echo cancellation and noise suppression is off. So I have no idea where it's coming from. Oh, I do know where it's coming from. There, it's probably gone now. I was echoing myself through Clubhouse because I had Clubhouse displayed. Sorry about that. You guys hear my voice twice. I didn't hear my voice twice. Sorry. Well, to repeat my take on it then. Should I repeat my take on it? Was it that bad? I'm watching the comments to see. If it was that bad, I'll just repeat my take. Adam Johnson said, encourage, where'd it go? There it is. Encourage high-rise and condo owner-occupied units instead of renters. I think builders should be able to create 250 to 300K condo townhome units. Okay. Dusty, my take wasn't that great. So she's like, nah, just keep going. Okay. All right. Well, that's it. No, I'm just saying, I think the idea of using a bill that attacks hedge funds is short-sighted and not going to solve the problem, as one of you guys brought up with the Lance Lambert figures that he calculated as well. The better idea instead is to incentivize builders to build, give tax breaks to those that develop, and cut red tape for those that are trying to get more inventory on the market, including those who are trying to use alternative materials. Make it easier for people to build with less expensive materials. There you go. That's my take. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining the show. This was a fun one today with special guest. That was fiery. It's going to be fun to cut up. But thank you guys so much for contributing. Thanks, Jack, for connecting me with Anthony. That was epic. And thank you guys for the comments on YouTube and participating in Clubhouse. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell so that you're notified of whenever we go live. Next week will be the Christmas prediction special. So hopefully I can pull some of you guys up on the panel too next week to participate. And I'll see you then.